Yeah, I'm 4ShockBlast. I'm a classic Doom speedrunner. So, yeah, I'm here to make an IL showcase. So IL stands for individual level speedrun. So I'm going to be running through a bunch of different maps on a variety of categories. And my commentators, I'll let them introduce themselves.
Okay. Hi, I'm Du. I come from Czechia, and I'm a currently retired speedrunner and a speedrun moderator at Doom World.
And I'm King Dime. I was previously doing some runs here, but of the full game of Ultimate Doom, which is going to be a little bit different from this showcase, where it'll just be cool, lots of unique strategies that you wouldn't necessarily see in those levels. So we consider a full run or a full episodic run. So the episodic run would be Doom 1, if you think E1, E1M1 to E1M8, whereas in Doom 2, 1 to 10, 11 to 20, etc. That's what we consider it. That would be like a D2 all. But for individual levels, yeah, just one level at a time.
Yep. So I think we can just get started. So 3, 2, 1, Doom.
So this is the first map of the first game, and it is a really straightforward run. But as you just saw, there was a slight mistake. So what Shock did was restart the run using a restart key. This is something that old players didn't have back in the day. So they would have to quit the game and restart it over and over for every run. It's meant basically watching the loading screen for a long period of time.
Yeah, if this looks a little bit, annoying, the fact that you have to keep restarting, it was even worse before. So, but yeah, I'm just gonna go for like a 9-second time. The world record here is 8. Of course, that wouldn't be something you want to go for, so there's a 9. But 8 is quite precise. I spent quite a lot of attempts on it. It was a large number. I don't know if either of my commentators has the full number, but it was big.
You just mentioned something in the realm of several tens of thousands runs.
Yeah, something like that. So a bit much. Definitely easier now, but I still wouldn't want to do it live. It would be quite boring to watch, I think.
So, like way back in the day, one of the big things was that the Doom community kind of went by full seconds, and essentially it was took a little bit to get a 9, but one of the early speed runs was by Thomas Pilger, and he obtained a 9.91, and then it was kind of in a way like left off to the side, and it took how many years to get down to an 8?
20.
Shock blast.
20, yeah. It was from, I think he got his 9 in 1998, the first one, and then I got my 8 in 2019. So.
Okay, so what was the key to getting from a 9, like a 9 to an 8, like really making those final micro optimizations to beat the second barrier?
A lot of it's just movement. Like modern players put a lot more straight 50. I mean, like you said, it's a second barrier type run, so it's getting a faster time than the 98 run would have been easy enough even for runners 20 years ago, but they didn't do that unless it was the next second, and to get the next second you have to have very clean movement all through this room especially, of course, has a lot of monsters in it, so what you want to go for is a very clean line, like even there, and this guy was in the way, so you're always looking for a run where the line is perfect, and that's not likely. Even that is not optimal.
And even with perfect movement, you will still hover above 9 with just a few ticks to shave. So, what do you need to get from 9 to 897, basically?
I think it would just be, very, very good clean movement indoors as well. So That's the other thing. Like,
what about the boosts?
The boosts, yeah, damage boosts. They're not necessarily required, but they help a lot. So
This is where the monsters actually shoot you in the back and give you a little boost.
Yeah. So.
Okay. And one last comment here is, like, by the first door, we can see that you take a single pistol shot, and you were mentioning that, like, over a long period of time, that was kind of one of the secrets to manipulating the monster movement to eventually get that 8 barrier.
Yeah, there's a bit of RNG manipulation. This shot doesn't do anything really besides make the monsters just a little bit more likely to get out of the way, but it's certainly not a guarantee. I mean, obviously, as you can tell, I'm still getting blocked most of the time. So this is, what I'm doing right now is sort of what you would see if you were actually going for 8. You would just reset right away, which I did a lot of this back in 2019. But yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
and the first time around, it took tens of thousands of attempts to get that 8. If you were to do it, say, right now, and we just grind it out until you could, what would you think in the realm of?
For practice, in order to practice for this event, I did like a few hundred attempts. I already got it like 3 times, so not a problem today, I think. But for any top movementer, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can move on to the max. So Doom has 2 primary, I think, categories for running. There's a lot actually, but the ones that I think tend to have the most attention to them are max and speed, which is basically 80% and 100% on ultra violence. This is quite bad health. I might die. This map is actually not guaranteed survival, despite being the first map of Doom 1, just because of the number of shotgunners, and I don't go for any of the armor because it's just too slow to get to. So can die here.
And it's just simply a video game where you are dealing with a lot of random elements. So the damage from the shotgun has 7 pellets. Each pellet can deal 5, 10, or 15 damage. So 7 times those values, 35 to 105. If we go with these early game enemies, the zombie men have 20, shotgunners 30, and the imps 60. So even if you had like perfect execution every single time, it would take, a while to get it all to align.
Yes, and another secret to getting a good time is, as you can see, lining up the monsters to get multi-kills, and that doesn't happen every time. They have a mind of their own, they wander around randomly, and sometimes you will just miss a straggler.
Yes, and they wander. There's some random wandering, but they make an approximation towards the player. So they'll kind of.
By the way, what time are you aiming for? Just so.
I already got a 34. It's not 35. So I mean, we can move on whenever. I think I'm just whenever we are.
Yeah, so we know, like the current record is 24. So that's a lot of amazing shots.
Okay, and just before moving on from this one, Shock, there's an interesting point with an enemy that helps you with a secret. So tell us about that.
So there's, I mean, I don't think we necessarily defined what 100% means in Doom. It's 100% monsters and secrets, which is essentially the same as Doom 64 if you watch that run. So you don't get 4 items because it's just a bit annoying to get at them. But this secret right here that you just saw me grab, it is actually triggered here. And it would be slow to have to go there because this is not lowered until you go over here. So monsters can lower lifts though. So if you're lucky, and it usually does happen, some shotgunner or some other monster will come from there, trigger it, and you just pick it up on the way to get the other secret there. And that saves quite a bit of time. So that is one of the main strats of the run.
Yeah. So unfortunately, you have to hope that the monsters aren't lazy and they're kind of speedrunning towards that line too.
Yeah.
Or you're hoping.
you do see that monster not show up, even though it's rare. It's just part of the category. There's quite a lot of RNG, a lot of execution, but a lot of RNG as well. So yeah.
Perfect. So we're going to move on now to the second game, actually, to the first level. It's just that with the first levels of these games, there's just been just so many different people who have tried running them. Like everybody has played level 1 generally if you like owned the game or tried the shareware in Doom 1. So everyone just kind of knows the layout of the level in their head. And
Here we go. Shock just tied the previous record on this map that was set again by Thomas Panther Builder. It was set back in 1999, and it took 25 years to beat. And it was Shock here who beat it this May, or was it June?
It was April, I think. I'm starting to blank.
Okay.
But yes. So the key here is this map is far simpler than E1M1, which makes it very easy to get a 5-second time. It makes it, the movement is, painfully simple. In fact, you go forward, you turn twice, and you get exit. But because of that, getting a second off of this is just that much harder, despite that run being so old. It was very easy to beat for a long time, and it took a lot to get to. One of the big strategies is this. It's a bit hard to explain, but if you run into doors at the right angle with the right position, you'll build up speed. And as you can see, like from this, I am not doing it most of the time because it's just unlikely. Although I did have vertical mouse movement on by mistake, so that messes it up. But yeah, it still rarely happens in this corner. So if I'll show the run that I got earlier this year, just as an idea of what you end up having to go for. I just get it instantly, and that took even more attempts than E1M1. And there's other stuff in there. There's very precise movement. I think run on the monsters. So if you run against monsters in a certain direction or walls, you'll get double speed. But to run against a monster that way, it's very precise movement because they're very small. So that it's 4 seconds there is immeasurably harder than E1M1 and 8 basically.
Okay, so when you were doing attempts, how many attempts do you think to get that door boost? Like how often?
I don't know. It's once every few hundred, maybe more often. But you also just so many attempts get immediately reset because I bumped something. So it's really hard to tell. I got there very rarely. Many attempts just fail right here because I don't even get the right angle off the start. So yeah, it was a very painful grind. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else on this. Like I said, it's quite simple, but also very complicated.
Yeah.
So I'll also do the max for map 1. So you start out with picking up this chainsaw right at the start. Not a secret, but one of the most basically damage output weapons in the map. At least initially, you definitely want this.
You just saw Shock just damage that imp in the hallway, go press down the elevator, and then finish him off to save time.
Ooh, that didn't work out yet. I was going for a rocket that killed that imp and those 2 zombies, but sometimes they just don't go the right way, and you have to do that. So this imp might get lost as well. This is definitely a bad way for the run map to go. But it happens. That's sort of the way this map goes. Also, I think one of these imps opened the exit door, which is a rarity, but yeah. So quite slow time, I guess, but it's just goes to show how random this category can be.
Yeah, and some of that is very much about the monster movement because there is intervals for the rocket damage, but the splash damage is just purely based on distance.
Yeah, and those monsters, they usually move in the right way, but in that specific room, it's not guaranteed for them to move any specific way because the thing is, even when the monsters see you, I don't think they're always exactly the same. They don't move at the same time, so that also is one of them. So
Yeah.
this is sort of how that's supposed to go.
That went well.
You mean you have one imp left, but that's a simple pistol finisher. So
So Kevin kept the second. Oh, close.
yeah, that's fine too. So that's better.
There we go. 9-second improvement there.
Yeah. So yeah, the record there, I also did that one as part of the map 1 experience. It's a 37 right now, so even that goes down another 5 seconds. It was a 39 for the longest time until Kinetic got it to 38, and
Yeah, Zidvono held the 29 record
Yeah.
since 2006.
yeah. That map basically had no strategy changes over the entire history of the game. I mean, strategies would sometimes swap into other ones, but the core route was always there. As early as 95 demos used basically the same route.
Yeah, and with like all the time that say like some of us runners are putting in movie runs is, there's runners like yourselves like putting that equivalent amount of time into these individual levels. So just the hyper optimization is out of this world. But what are we moving on to?
We're moving on to I think a very interesting map for its history. This is Doom 2 map 7, sort of like a very early mini boss map. You have to kill all these monsters normally to get through it, and of course there I died, but it's quite dangerous at the start of this run.
So yeah, for those who don't know, you have to kill all these Mancubi, and that triggers all the outer walls to drop, and the arachnotrons will appear, and you have to kill all of those to raise a step so we can walk onto that central platform and exit.
Yeah, so on the surface, it's a very simple run. This is sort of how you would complete it normally, and it's still the way you max the map, because you just have to kill everything. There's no other way around it in this map. But you'll see that speedrunners have gotten quite innovative with how to complete the map over the years. So yeah, typically this is the route that I think the record takes. To start out with rocketing all the minks, because you can get some good blast damage on them, and then you plasma all these guys.
There we are. Shock's going to knock out the final arachnotron and then get the single step. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. Just how many maps there are where you do the sequence of the entire map so that you can raise one step.
Yep.
One step for Doom Guy. Moving on here, Shock is... are you moving on to the...
Yeah.
The rocket jump.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be the sort of one of the earlier strategies discovered for this map. So you'll notice that these platforms, I mean, they're pretty low, but it kind of looks like maybe you can get there. And initially, the way this was done was just via a rocket jump, so that did not work that time. It's a somewhat precise setup. There it is. But yeah, you can actually just jump straight through. It's just very precise. That rocket jump is the way to do it most consistently, and this is sort of what the full runs of the game still use, because it's just that much. It's a very fast way to exit the map, and it's quite
Safe.
Safe, yes.
Yeah, safe and consistent.
And I would like to show off another way of doing that. This is a run from 2002, and it does the exact same thing, but it doesn't use a wall. I'll just put it that way. So, yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that off the bat. This is why I'm showing the demo. It's one of the probably greatest demos of the earlier Doom days. It's by Sedlow, one of the greatest trick and movement runners, I think, of the of back in the day. So yeah, very cool run, I think. So.
But it's still not the fastest way to complete the map.
There's a new fastest way.
Yeah, and let's see. Maybe I just get it instantly. Nope. But yeah, so it's called a zero press. It's essentially a way to press switches from further away than you normally would be able to. And so the full explanation is just kind of math rounding errors, but essentially you have to be when you're facing forward in Doom, you're never really facing forward. You're facing a little bit left, and that means that I'm actually when I was facing, I essentially tried to face directly parallel to the switch, but I'm still sort of facing the switch, and then that plus a bunch of math and rounding errors means I can press it from way further away in certain directions. The full explanation would be much more complicated, but that's
it
the gist
takes
of it.
roughly 3 long paragraphs on Doom Wiki.
Yeah, it takes 5 seconds to perform, 20 minutes to explain. Like a lot of Doom tricks are like that.
The current record is actually just 3 seconds.
Yeah, and it can be done in 2 if you just instantly get it, but it's a very precise position.
Yeah.
So that's it's Doom 2 map 07, like interesting running progression. Now I'm just gonna do this map. This map is sort of notorious for being
The most evil, like, Sandy Peterson map of all time.
But that, I think, makes it especially popular among speedrunners. It's a very classic movement practice map. How good can you climb these ledges? How fast are you on them? I'm going to save here. Despite not being at the ledges, this is the most dangerous room when you have no weapons because these guys can really block you. I actually got quite lucky there.
Nice.
But, you wouldn't see it, but there are commonly I would get blocked there, and then that's the normal way to complete the map across those ledges.
Just insane. That was so good. Like, you're like running as quick as you can at the end there.
Pretty much. But that's still not the fastest way to do that part. What you would do, and you could do that instantly, basically, as well. It's another wall run.
That was a wall run, yes.
Yeah, and that's what you also see this in multi-level runs, so and movies, or as they're also called, because it's just it's not even that much faster than the other route, but it is more consistent, and you still get a little bit of speed, I think, if you perform it quickly. So that's Doom 2. Should we move on to Final Doom AEV speed type runs?
Yeah, sure. But with the chasm there is kind of a funny story in that, there is always strategy progression that goes on. And Sedlo, this excellent mover back in the day, spent, I don't know if it was over 1,000 attempts to eventually get like 33 seconds. But then there was the backwards stray figured out on the teleporter, and it's just suddenly down to 32 after all of this work.
All your effort might just go down the drain. That's the way it is.
The other runners actually sort of trolled Sedlo with it because they knew he would immediately improve the run over their attempt. So they sent it just before the next iteration of updating Competent. So he would lose the record at least for a while.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so just before Competent, probably the earliest speed running was honorific Doom titles starting in 1994, and then Competing started in 1996, and that's where you had all the best runners and competing.
Okay. We just saw a death slide. Which basically means killing yourself and then your corpse slides into the exit. This is used for going under these bars that otherwise you obviously can't crawl under, and that is allowed because your corpse is actually just 14 units tall, unlike the regular size, which is 56 units.
Yeah, I mean, if you fail it, you can't go through under this fence, for example. You would have to. It's just that gap is small enough just for Doom Guy to go under, only dead. But yeah, this is for context. This is map 17 of Plutonia, which is one half of Final Doom. Dime mentioned Competent. which Companion initially started as just all the original games because it was actually before Final Doom that it started accepting demos, but then it eventually expanded to Final Doom, and this is also an official game essentially, so that's why it's Companion was mostly official games and some custom maps.
And a funny story about this trick is that originally it wasn't allowed to be used in the movie runs, because it basically meant you died and then you restarted the next map with just a pistol.
Yeah, you'll see if I just restart, I died, and
this was considered basically breaking the continuity. But then it was decided that it's just too cool to let out, so it was allowed.
I don't have enough health for this archfell jump, but yes, that would be the next trick you would do in a full run of Plutonia. Oops, I didn't mean to exit. But yes, runs in Doom do not die essentially. You can't die for any demo, whether it's a single level or a full run. So having a death, even if you exit, was a bit of a controversy because of that. So I'll move on to another map. This is map 25 of Plutonia. Plutonia, in my opinion, is one of the most trick-filled IWADs. IWADs are the original games, what we call them. And this one is especially heavy on tricks. You saw me do a small strafe jump there, but it gets even more crazier with this trick. So I get as close to the wall as possible to trigger a line that's essentially in a spot where you normally wouldn't be able to exit because you can't get that close normally to walls. You're actually, whenever you're at a wall in Doom, typically you're a little bit away from it. And let's get this guy out of the way. And then you gotta finish off with just a death slide and rocket jump at the same frame, in the same trick. So that is one of the, I think, cooler runs in Plutonia, in my opinion. None of the tricks are too difficult, but they're quite interesting, I think, from that.
And actually, Shock, even though he was quite slow on the execution there, he still beat the original record that explored this route for the first time. It came from 2001, and it was 46 seconds. So you can see how these sort of runs go leaps and bounds. Because right now the record is 15 seconds.
Yep, it just does everything right away. And finally, I'd like to show a relatively recent trick in terms of how, in terms of its being useful. This is something that was known about for a little bit, but essentially, I think it didn't work out there for some reason. But it's quite, I've got a fairly precise setup. So let's see if I make it this time. Something is wrong with this trick. As always, marathons just don't work out the way you expect. But I will keep trying. There it is. So what just happened? Like, this is the definition of a what just happened trick, I think.
Well, if I may, what just happened was an intercept overflow. Basically, the game performs a check on every hit scan attack, which was the pistol shot. And because the old game had to be quite limited, this check can only go over 128 line defs, which are active lines, and things, which are all of the items, all of the weapons, all of the monsters or decorations. And if there's more, the engine will freak out. And it will start overriding basically the block map, which controls collisions. And that means there are no collisions, and everyone can just walk through walls.
It's a terrifying sight with all the archfells chasing out of bounds.
This is how Doom looks out of bounds.
Yes. If you go far enough, you go from the other side. That's I guess it's an overflow within an overflow.
You can wrap around the map basically. At this point, it also means that you can't interact with anything. So you basically can't exit if it requires you to press a switch. So this only works in maps where you have the kill floor, which luckily this map has.
Yep. All right, and one final trick that I'd like to show in Plutonia. I will just show off this map normally. This is map 30. If you've played on map 30, let's get rid of the monsters. They're annoying, right? Okay, they're gone. If you've ever played on map 30, the way map 30s typically work in Doom 2, you have this boss brain. What's behind it is
John Romero.
John Romero on a pole, and you need to kill him. And there's the brain, exposed brain, that you need to shoot rockets into, and not miss, which I did. In this map, you just raise and lower this lift, and you only need 2 rockets. The way the rockets kill him is through blast damage. So depending on how far away that Romero is from the wall, you need more or less rockets. If you play the original Doom 2, you usually need 3. So here's this was I made this run back in 2022, and you'd love to just get into the Romero head box and BFG him or something, right? Well, you can, as you'll see here. So.
Okay, so what happened there? We started with a double archvile jump, so we got blasted by 2 archviles at once. Then Shock got killed in the air. First he fired a BFG, then he got killed in the air, so his corpse got squished. So his height was low enough to go through that opening. And then when the BFG, the big ball, hit the wall, his corpse emitted what's called tracers. And that basically killed the head.
Yep.
And a little interesting point is the BFG main projectile is between 100 and 800. So if you get sufficiently unlucky, does the John Romero not die?
Well, because I'm hitting with tracers. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would be.
I'm wrong on that.
Tracers do anything from like 2,000 or something, and Romero has 250 health, so it's more than enough. So I don't know if we have time for any maxes, but I'm gonna just show off some custom content, some as we call them PWADs. So IWADs are the original games. PWADs are custom-made games. I think P stands for player-made or something, if I remember correctly. And IWAD, I think I might stand for id. I'm kind of blanking on that. But modern maps have gotten quite insane in every way possible. Visually, there's fewer limits. There's more features in modern, versions of the game, and gameplay-wise as well. So here you saw me platform. Falling there is fine. And you'll see some interesting fights that are definitely nothing like anything you'll see in the original games.
Yeah, so this is a map set called Sunlust, and it's from 2015. And it is regarded highly as one of the best challenge WADs out there. And as you can see, you can probably understand where the challenge lies. It's also probably known to many as slaughter maps.
Nice health. Yeah, so this one is very slaughter heavy. These slaughter maps are considered to be anything that essentially involves fighting a lot of monsters. So there you saw BFG against a whole bunch of revenants with no room to dodge. Now we're going to be fighting 2 cyber demons in a small room and with some very bumpy floors. You do not have air control in Doom, so being in these floors is quite dangerous, because if you fall off of them and you cannot dodge at that moment, you cannot move. And finally, you finish off on a bunch of these guys. So I saved there, just because this fight is probably the most dangerous of the map, but I should be fine now. The most dangerous part is really the beginning of it, especially since I had the extra megasphere there. So yeah, this fight is all about managing the targets and reacting and dodging the fire at the right moment. Oops, that I got too comfortable there. But yeah, that's I'll have to redo that. Oops. Yeah, it should have been a complete run there, but whatever. Oh, are we done?
Last map, okay.
Okay. So maybe should we just continue on? Just consider that completed. I'll just show off one more map. One more map that is the opposite challenge content of what you just saw. That map had a lot of monsters in narrow areas, small cramped areas. This one has almost no monsters, and all of the challenge is in how you move through it. So,
and this is a map set called Italo Doom, and it was basically a complement or B-sides to Sunlast, filled with maps that were considered too challenging for Sunlast.
And yes, as you can see, this map is all about control with your jumps, and like I said, you do not have air control. So once you commit to a jump, that's it. And running through this map this quickly is quite dangerous because of that. So there's the first point I'll say. This next jump is a little tricky. That worked out there. And then you climb some pretty narrow steps. Everywhere you fall, in case it's not clear, it's over. So you cannot come back from a fall in this map. So it's yeah, it is what it is. Okay, this should be good. Yeah, I'm gonna save a little bit more just so we don't have to watch me fall too many times.
Now we're in the wall running section.
Yeah, this section is timed. If you, like you see there, if you're too slow, you can't go up. But it's not too precise. Let me try that again. Oops. All right. You have to be like right on the edge to hit that switch, which makes it a little tricky. And now we're on to a bunch of rocket jumps. Got that one first try at least. That one's the hardest one, I think. Despite what this one, it looks a lot harder. And obviously I failed it, but it's really not that bad. And you can retry this one as many times as you want until you, I guess, run out of health. So yeah, you wall run on a fence, and then you rocket jump off a wall into the exit. And that's how you're supposed to complete the map. That's intended. This is just what you're supposed to do in some Modern Doom maps. It's no longer even just some trick someone speedrunner finds. It is what it is. So, right, I think that's pretty much the time for our showcase. So,
no, that blew by. That was.
Yeah, it was quite quick. Yeah. Any final comments?
It was
mesmerizing.
Mesmerizing, yes. That's
yeah. Yeah.
Can we get some applause in the crowd for 4Shock? That was amazing. Thanks, guys, so much. We really appreciate you coming out for our showcase.
Yeah, thanks for having us, and everyone just go run Doom. Like classic Doom, it's a very low barrier of entry. All you need to do, you don't need to do any of this to run Doom. You can just take any random map off the archive, run it. We're very open to custom content. We're very open to single level runs. So they could be 2 seconds long. They could be 4 hours. It's up to you. It's a great community, I think. So thanks for having us as well, and thanks to the viewers and to my commentators.
Thank you.
Thanks.